One sentence I heard recently, and it really stood out to me. It's your self worth is not determined by your bank balance, but your bank balance shows your self worth.
Welcome to Don't Step on the Bluebells, the podcast where personal healing and transformation take center stage. I'm your host, Amanda Parker, and I'm a fellow seeker on the journey of personal growth. Join me as I delve into the stories of gifted healers, guides, and everyday people who have experienced remarkable transformations. Listen in as they share their practical wisdom to enrich your everyday life. And don't forget to hit subscribe and never miss a new episode. Welcome to today's episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. I'm very excited to be here today with Lina Rimasauskiene, who is a money and finance coach, so money mindset and finance coach. I'm so excited for this conversation because not only have I been following all of your brilliant work on LinkedIn, but I'm really just thrilled to have a conversation about money and to learn and understand more about the healing elements of working with money, of helping people with money. It's a topic that is like so big on everyone's minds, especially in the healing space. Thank you so much for being here today, Lina.
Amanda, thank you for having me. And let's dive in.
So we actually first met on LinkedIn, which seems absolutely remarkable to me, but both of us have been showing up there, sharing wisdom. And I have to say that everything that you're posting, I am nodding my head and going, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that you're just talking to me.
Yeah, I would probably have to read now my posts and see what I'm writing about. But probably, yes, I have the main message all the time.
You're talking about something that's so personal and deep. Like we all have our money stories and our beliefs about it and all of this. So I think a lot of what you're sharing is just touching on a chord of today, and especially for entrepreneurs who are just trying to figure out how to run a successful business and have no idea. They have all these deep-seated beliefs that are standing in their way. So before we dive into the heart of it, I'd love to hear, how did you begin to work in this world of money? What is it that drew you into money and finance?
I was always good with numbers to start with, and I was always someone who will think of the ways how to make money. So I made my first profits in year one, and I kind of always find ways how to make money from like anywhere or anything. And yes, because I graduated as an accountant in Lithuania, then I followed the same here in UK. I did like to work with numbers. So yes, I became an accountant. Then working with small business owners, I noticed that people running businesses and even not in businesses struggle with money mindset. I sold my accountancy practice in 2018. I became a finance and money mindset coach.
You sound like you never had a problem with money. You always knew how to, okay, no, I've got that wrong. Tell me more.
Okay, so I come from a very um, poor background, and until the age of 15, we had money in our family, but there was always this message like, we don't have enough, we have to save. There was this scarcity mindset. And then from about age 15, bad things happened in our family, and we literally didn't have money. Me and my mom and my younger brother survived only, I would say. We sometimes didn't have money for food, let alone talk about other things that we needed. So it was really, really bad. And I don't come from a wealthy family. I don't come from a big, good background where I was taught how to manage money. On the contrary, I was never taught how to do it, but maybe that's one of my strengths, because I knew what does it mean not to have it. So I was always wanting to have it and to manage it well. My biggest teacher is my mother, because she always worked so hard. Working so hard and not having money, I think it's the worst thing that can happen to anyone. And when she worked all her life, and then I think about 50, she didn't have health, she didn't have money, she didn't have anything. And I was like, life cannot be as cruel. So everything comes to the management, because if she had money, if she was earning money, where is it now? Why doesn't she have it? So yes, I didn't have the best childhood when it comes to money, and I think that is my strength.
Yeah, that's really powerful to bring in, because the way that you said it is like, well, I always knew how to make money, but yeah, because you grew up seeing how this wasn't the case, or how you could be working, working, working so hard and still not able to bring in or save enough money for, let's say, the later years. And it sounds like this was a huge driver for you to really figure out this puzzle piece of not only how to earn money, but how to like hold on to it,
Manage it, yes, because
manage
I
it.
I see I see so many people, Amanda, having good sources of income. And as an accountant, I worked with businesses who started like me from scratch, and they earned good money, but they didn't know how to manage it. And I could see what was happening to them. Sometimes people start to earn good money and they start to drink or to take drugs or go down the hill, just, because we don't know how to manage it. Money is energy. It's a very, very powerful energy. You have to be prepared for it. You have to know how to manage it. And when I say manage, it's not only on the energetical level, you have to manage it in your books. Main thing for me is to manage. Earning it is one thing, but managing, it's another matter.
I know from a lot of what you have shared online, right? So this is like my master class into your way of working, that like when you're talking about managing money, people don't really understand what it means to manage money. And I know I don't remember exactly what it was that you said, so you'll be able to share, some more wisdom on what that process is like. But you know, when you're thinking about, let's say, a business and you're thinking about money that comes in, I know for the first years of my business, I was like, I just want to charge this much money. I want this much coming in because I need to pay my rent or I need to pay for these tech tools or whatever. But I was never thinking about how do I have enough money coming in that I could maybe hire someone to help with XYZ, or that I could grow the business or think differently. It was always just this smaller mindset about having enough to just get by to the next whatever milestone, the next month or the next quarter. So, in that case, what does managing your money mean?
Okay, so managing money is, I can reframe it and compare it with health. So, for example, when we are born, when we are young, we are healthy, right? Most of us are healthy, and then it doesn't just come naturally. Health is not infinite. We have to maintain it. We have to do exercises, especially the older we get. We have to choose certain food. We need to look after it so we stay healthy, right? So the same with the money. If I want more of it, if I want to have it next year, in 2 years, or grow it, I need to manage it. So that means I have to do something. So if I'm choosing my diet, then I'm choosing, what do I do with my money? Do I spend it all today? Or do I say, I have separate bank accounts and I put it in separate pots, and then I make a decision what I'm going to do with it. So it's just conscious management of your resources, because money is a tool, money is a resource, like health, like everything else. So I choose how to manage it.
So you are basically consciously choosing how you manage it, what you do with it, the way you want to spend it, the same that you might if you have like a diet or you're trying to do something with your fitness. So a good friend of mine here in the UK is a bodybuilder. And she, like, I mean, kudos to her, because that regimen that she's on for me is impossible. But she blends together all of her weightlifting with different kinds of eating, and she has to eat differently and follow different meal plans, whether she's getting ready for a stage show or whether she's just building up muscle. So she knows that her goal is to get on a stage, and these are the steps she needs to take to be able to get on that stage. So I'm hearing that the money management piece is a bit like this also. You you know what you're working towards, you know what the goals are, and you need to actually set up like your quote unquote workout plan to be able to reach those goals.
Yes, exactly that. You need to know what are you going to use it for. It's like you need to have a plan ahead for 10, 20 years. And in many cases, I notice that people struggle when it comes to like, why do we need the money? What do I do with it? So they don't think about 10, 20, 30 years or how they can use it for a good purpose. So, and I think today my post came out about one of my friends and comparing me and my friend, where I bought my designer bag after I had 2 properties, and then my friend had 6 designer bags. She still lives in rented accommodation. So managing the money is also about like the values. It's okay to have 6 handbags and to live in rented accommodation. Nothing wrong with that if you feel good about it. But if you don't, that's a problem. So managing it, that means, like you said, have a goal. Like your friend who is bodybuilding, she has a goal. So am I with my money. And if I'm in a business, what is my goal? Okay, my goal is to help people, to provide services, to be useful. But at the same time, my goal is to live in this body, and just, because it's material world. So how do I want to live? Where do I want to live? Like which area, like how comfortably or not? So this is just the goal that one may have or not.
So, if we're thinking about the healing elements of money, right? So, we're talking really about how you can actually heal with money, with finance. Have you ever looked at the work that you do as a healing process?
Definitely, because I think every work with clients, whether it's about business or any coaching or therapy, it's healing. So even money management, it's healing, because many people do suffer because if they don't have enough, and if they start to make enough or they feel good about managing the money, of course it's healing, because what does money give us? It's first of all, it's safety. And when I'm safe, I'm healing. It's like this I think I pronounced it correctly, what's in water. You're like, you're going to water with therapist, and he or she holds you on the water. And I had this few times. And so the healing, where is the healing from? Safety. And money gives you safety. So of course, when you have enough, more than enough, you feel good. You are healing.
Having what you need, that you don't have to be afraid or that you don't have to live in fear. I mean, I've seen studies, and I don't remember the name of the studies now, so I can put that in the show notes. But there are studies about people who are continuously living in fear of not having enough money, that like they're not able to dream bigger, to go for their, like they're just trying to meet their survival needs. They're just trying to find a way to get by every day. And if you're having that feeling all the time, you're not going to feel safe. You're not going to be able to do whatever the personal growth or healing work. I mean, that sounds like a luxury at that stage. So there is also this element of like creating a safe environment so that you can do that personal healing work, but also that you can change your whole relationship with the work that you do, with the way that you earn money, the way that you support people or show up for the people around you.
When it comes to like healing and like what money can give you, how many people are in the jobs that they don't love, but they are scared because we need to pay mortgages, we need to provide for their families? How many people are in relationships that they don't want to be because of money? Yes, having money, that means freedom as well. Like I get to choose what I do, how I do it. I get to live life on my terms. That is healing.
You call yourself a money mindset coach. So, what does mindset mean in this context?
Mindset is, I think everything starts with mindset. Even when we start business, it becomes of mindset. If I start with a mindset that I'm not good enough, or only certain people will buy my services or product, then this is where I would just be stuck. And if I think, okay, I can make only a certain amount of money, or I can live in certain area or certain country, this is mindset. Okay. So mindset is about changing it where to understand or believe that I can earn much more. I can live really anywhere in the world. I can have the house as big as I want. So this is mindset, or showing up, selling your services or your products. It's all about the mindset. And two of my favorite posts were about money mindset is, for example, saying that I don't have the money. Never say that I don't have the money. It's not my priority right now. That's what is better to say. So this is the mindset. If I constantly think I don't have the money for whatever, I'm programming my mind, so I'll never have it most likely. But if I say it's not my priority, I'm changing my mindset, because our unconscious doesn't understand, whether it's real or not real. So mindset is basically fake it until you make it. It's shaping your beliefs, shaping how you see the world, shaping how you see things.
It sounds a lot also like we had an episode, I think it was episode 10 with my sister, Jessie Parker, and she was talking all about affirmations. It sounds a bit like the affirmations, like what you keep repeating, what you keep saying out loud becomes your reality. So if you keep spending time saying, I don't have the money, I can't afford it, it's too expensive, that also becomes your reality. Like you're reinforcing that belief over and over. If you stop saying, I don't have the money or I can't afford that, and you start saying, oh, it's not my priority to do that now, or XYZ is my priority at the moment, you're actually reshaping the way that you're thinking about money from that total lack to this is a decision that I'm making to not focus on this today.
So yes, affirmations actually help very much when it comes to changing your beliefs, because again, money mindset or any mindset comes with, first of all, spotting what beliefs do you have, what beliefs do you hold about money. And yeah, the mindset could be even, I talk a lot about tax, like how you better pay the tax. So because if you pay more tax,
I've been reading those posts.
if you to me, it's like if you pay more tax, that means you are earning more income. And so I saw many small business owners stuck because of tax, because they didn't want to pay tax. And I had this client, this is something I always share because it's a huge thing, where she didn't want to register for VAT. And in UK, you have to register now when you reach 90K of turnover in 12 months. And many business owners actually don't want to register for VAT because they think, oh, it's more tax to pay. So they stop their growth. And that's a mindset. They think they will be paying more tax. Of course they will, but they will also be generating more income. So it's a mindset. And I had this moment myself when I started my accountancy practice, because it's a huge difference where you have to charge VAT 20% on your services, and especially if you provide only to individuals. But it's a mindset. And when I shifted, I started to grow. And when I realized that by paying taxes, I then have income that is declared, I can invest it. I'm growing. So the more I give, the more I grow. And this is mindset. And Amanda, I'll be honest, I helped many people to shift this mindset in my accountancy practice, because no one wanted to pay tax. And there are always ways to find how not to pay tax. You can always find ways of how to, just
Legal ways, of course.
legal ways, of course. But
Yeah.
then, yes, when you go to a mortgage broker and you say, want a mortgage, he will say, I can't help you. When you need a business loan to grow your, they say, I can't help you. So it is a mindset.
So you say you changed your mindset. How did you do that? What did that look like?
I think for me, the biggest thing was desire to have more. To have more. And I just, because I'm good with numbers, I sat down, I looked, I did the analysis, and I thought, okay, I'm registering VAT. I'll have to give away 20% to government, because at the time my main clients were individuals, self-employed individuals, and not VAT registered businesses. So I thought, okay, I'll give 20%. I may lose some of the clients if I increase the prices, but then by doing my numbers, by calculating, looking at the projections, I realized I will have more. This would help me. That's why I say sometimes even for the mindset shift, not a meditation, not a mindset changing beliefs we need. Sometimes you need to look at the figures and to do the projected figures so you can actually see and explain to your logical mind, look, this is what's going to do you good. So yeah, I think doing the numbers for me.
Hey, Amanda here. Are you a woman healer doing this work alone, craving a community that truly gets you? I know what it's like, searching for others who understand your gifts while building a sustainable practice. That's why I created the Women Healers Collective, where healers come together to share wisdom and grow their impact. Visit womenhealerscollective.com now and join a community that uplifts your magic. So how does that work? Like if a client comes in and they're living in scarcity. So I think we know that word a lot, we hear it a lot, but let's just say this is a person who comes in, maybe you have a real life example and they're just like really afraid there won't be enough money coming in. And so that's like kind of the belief that they're really living with. I'm not going to get enough clients, I can't charge more, people are not going to pay more, things like that. How would you work on the mindset with someone like that? And if that hypothetical is too difficult, maybe you have a real story that's similar, like how you actually support someone through that process.
I had recently done the group coaching program for women, and all of them were in businesses. And yes, most of us have this limiting belief that it's not enough clients or no one would want my services. So we start with things like, is it really truth? And then we actually look for real examples. So let's say you are a photographer, and then is it possible you living in London and not having clients? Like, do you have a proof of someone actually advertising their service, doing good work and not having clients? Do you have a solid proof? And people don't. So this is something for their mind to think, oh, okay, actually, it's not true. That's that. Then we look at the past experiences, where this may be coming from. Then we also I like to do the tables where like Excel sheet where you can actually like, let's say someone needs 50K to live, okay, 50K from self-employed trade. And then we break it down to like what services, how many of services or products we need to sell in order to have this amount. And we do this analysis and people look at it and say, actually, it's easy. It's not as complicated. So sometimes I do like to start with numbers, Amanda, because people are scared of something they didn't even look at. They don't even know. So when they see it, they go like, actually, it's possible. And then the confidence boost, because of that. So yeah, I do like to say, even though I like the inner work, I like the belief work, I like the mindset shift, 50% of that work is actually down to numbers and to prove to your logical mind that it is possible.
Honestly, it sounds like your approach to healing is literally helping people see reality. like like the stories they're making up or the beliefs that they have are so distorted from what is actually true that a huge part of what you do is literally just helping people see the truth, see reality, and then giving them the option to make different choices. Like, here's the truth. What do you want to believe now? Here's the truth. What choice do you want to make? And that's actually just like pure empowerment. So you're actually giving people enough information, helping them to see this like reality, this real information that they get to decide what they want to do from there.
Yes, Amanda, this is correct. And at some points, I was even, because I love meditation. I do meditation myself. I do hypnosis, and I know how many people are hanging there, just doing meditations, but they never look into their bank statement. They say we don't have. They say I don't have money, but then when we look at the bank statement and we do analysis, and then you can really see your values from there, because I always like to do a value test with my clients to see what is important to you. And when we do that, our money goes where our values are. We don't spend for something it's not valuable to us. But the question always is why we spend the money for the things that we don't want to spend, because they help us to fill the empty space, but then we also discover we can fill that empty space with something else, not splashing with a, shopping spree or going out, every other night. So yeah, bank statement shows the reality and many people miss. They keep talking about high things and,
It's really interesting because so my husband and I are, well, I guess we're not newlyweds anymore. It's like 3.5 years. But when we first moved to London, we first moved in together. Like we hadn't lived together before. We started sharing all our finances, everything. I know we got married and then we moved in together. It's rather atypical and in a foreign country. But luckily, we had a lot of harmony in the relationship. But we both have a lot of like similar money habits. Like I wish one of us had like the better headset for managing money or understanding all these different things, but we both spend and like save or splurge in the same ways. And it took us actually having to sit down finally after like living together, seeing how we use our money and what we're doing and all this stuff, to actually sit down and like do a reality check. Like, do we actually have goals we want to set as a couple for what the future looks like? And if so, what do we need to do? And I remember it was a one day we went to this like beautiful cafe in London, sat down with all our spreadsheets and all these bank statements and everything, and actually went through what were some of these bigger goals, like what would give us more safety and security, what kind of emergency fund do we need to make sure that we're putting aside so that we feel safe, which is something honestly neither of us had done before. And in doing that, like it became so much easier to decide where we were putting our money. Like it was just so obvious that no matter what, we put money into that emergency fund first, because that's the thing that buys our freedom, our security, our safety. And ever since that conversation, which is a couple years ago now, both of us have been living with such security. And there had been so much instability or fear before that, what if he loses his job? What if I don't get enough clients coming in? Like all these different things. And just by sitting down and really getting that overview, we could just feel like we had some semblance of control over what was happening and know that we were making choices that were aligned with like the goals that we actually had for the future.
Thank you, Amanda, for sharing it, because this is vital for every family, for every household, for every business. And you know what you said, we feel secure and aligned with our values. And this is exactly what happens when you do a proper analysis of your values, of your money. It's so easy to save. And I showed this because save is to me invest in your future. So it's easy. And I never felt, Amanda, that I was saving money. So since I came to UK, I started to earn, and the money were coming in. And when I started business, more money, a lot of money I started to generate. But even when I was employed, I always saved money for deposit because I wanted to buy a house. And obviously, I had to let go of certain things. Like I didn't do things that maybe I would have done if I didn't have to save for my mortgage for house deposit. But it never felt to me that as if I was depriving myself of something.
Mm. Yeah, that's it. Yes, that is such a good descriptor.
Yes, I had this value. I wanted this house. Already had kid, and then the second one was on his way. That's it. And I felt so fulfilled. I felt so good. I didn't go out. I didn't do many things, but I never felt bad about it. So that's the main thing of when you do connect with your values, when you do analyze, you set your goal, you actually feel so good about it.
It's such a good point that you make, because you don't feel like you're depriving yourself for the sake of quote unquote saving. You actually see that you're contributing and like building this dream, this vision, this goal. You're putting what you need to aside for that vision. And then, yeah, sure, I'm going to forego some dinners out if it means that I get this thing that I really want and I'm really looking forward to.
To me, it wasn't like even, I don't think I did go to the restaurants at the time as much because I was saving for my house. And I remember I was even telling this a few days ago to my younger son. I said, you know how I used to live? I get certain amount of money each week, which was very, very little 25 years ago, and set money aside for rents. I lived in a shared accommodation. Then there was certain amount for food. Travel card was £10 bus travel card in London 25 years ago, and I remember very well. And the rest, just savings. So, for example, I would leave myself with maybe 10 extra pounds a week, and that's it. I don't need anything else because I was working many hours, and this is how I save money. And I never felt bad. Like, I was never missing anything.
Well, this is funny because it does come to how you were raised as well. So, my husband was raised in a family, his mother cooked every day. I was raised in a family with two working parents, so we often ordered in. And this is like a lot of what and not that I've been undoing it, it's just a lot of what I was brought up with. I'm tired, it's a long day, we've both worked hard, da da da. And then I'm like, you know what, let's just order in. And it's so automatic, I don't even think about it because it's the easiest way to get food on the table without having to be stressed. But I think there are like, it's just interesting if I think about the fact of saving or if I'm building up towards a specific goal, then I'm probably going to very easily give up that takeout. Because that's not doing anyone any favors.
Definitely. So if you
Also
say,
not on the calorie count, by the way.
and the calorie count, and what about the health benefits? Because I don't do takeaways. Sometimes my kids talk into takeaway, and I always regret doing that. Maybe in North London we have better food. I don't know, but certainly not where I live. I'm quite fussy with the food anyway. So I cook, Amanda, and it doesn't matter how tired or exhausted, I'll make something simple, but I cook. Maybe it does come from childhood, but I also think of my health benefit. And for some listeners who are listening, I would say, yeah, if you have a budget, like I spend 300, I don't know how much you want to spend for a food. This is your budget. That's it. So you can order as many takeaways as you want, but this is it. You have a budget and then you just stick to it.
How interesting that concept. Budget and then stick to it. That's a good principle.
Yeah, but if you do want to if you do want to achieve something, you have to stick to your
You
budget.
can already see I'd be a challenging client, right?
No, because it's easy to shift the mindset. It's easy to make one believe or understand. Because again, for me, it's easy. You know why, Amanda? Because I've done it myself. I am a living proof. I'm not teaching someone from the books. I don't say go and read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I say look what I've done. Look what my other clients did, and people believe because example gives us this confidence and understanding it's doable, it's possible.
So you bring up a great point as well. Like, are there resources or teachers or books that you do recommend so people who want to get better at this or understand more, aside, of course, from working with you, are there other resources?
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. I started to read all the money mindset or books only when I became a coach, just to understand what's out there in the market and what they actually teach people. And of course, I wasn't very surprised to see like Poor Dad, Rich Dad is talking things that I actually already like have and implemented in my life, because obviously this is the basic of like money mindset or money management. Why I would not recommend any book, Amanda, is because there is so much out there in digital format and audios, but for some reason people don't start implementing. And that's another thing, because just reading a book may inspire one out of 100 to make a change. Most of us need another person to support us during the change, because when we are changing something, we also changing our identity. It's identity shift. That is why there are so many smart books and so many smart like probably programs you can buy, but yet people don't change.
you can get all of the theory, you can get the practical wisdom, but that's not necessarily what's going to make you shift in your life. So it's really helpful if you find someone like yourself who can actually help you look at your mindset, your behaviors, your beliefs, and like get clear on what actually needs to shift so that you can come up with a plan and stick to it.
Yes, because I noticed many people are shelf developing instead of self developing.
Got it. Shelf developing instead of self
Yes,
developing.
and I already know some people already like said to me they've been shelf developing for 10 years. So that means they're reading all those books, they're listening to all these smart people, but their life hasn't changed a thing. Like their money or like their businesses or their lifestyle hasn't changed. Why? Because we need the support, because they're scared of losing their old identity. They're nodding their head when they're listening, but they're not doing anything.
Mm. Yeah, well, I guess you and I both know, and I'm sure the listeners as well, that like actually changing those behaviors is something very different. And I'll say that in my own life, so I have a coach that I work with. We've been working together about a year and a half now, actually almost 2 years. And he has a philosophy that he's ingrained into me, which is like 30-day experiments. So I embark, if there's something I want to change, if I say, okay, well, you saw, I'm cutting out sugar at the moment. I'm not saying I'm cutting out sugar forever because I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that's going to work for me. But for me to say, you know what, for the next 30 days, I'm not going to eat things with sugar in it. So, like, no cake, which is my guilty pleasure, or chocolate or desserts and all of this. Let me try it. 30 days I can commit to. And then after 30 days, I get enough information to make a decision. Do I want to continue this? Do I not? Is it serving me, etc.? So I think like with a lot of this shelf development, as you've said, it's very easy to read a book and feel like, okay, check that off the list. I know everything I need to know about it. But the daunting part is actually implementing that change. And especially if it's something we're scared of, like, so with money or health, those are just really vivid examples for most of us. So giving yourself actually the shorter timeline where you can say, you know what, for the next 30 days, I'm going to start putting money towards a mortgage instead of XYZ, and let me see what happens. Now, I know realistically 30 days is not enough to save up for a mortgage, but it's a starting point.
Yes, it is a starting point to start with something. And like you say in your example, like at least give yourself the time scale. Don't say it like, okay, I'm going to do it for the rest of my life, but just for now. So I'll see how I feel about it. When it comes to money, most people are not even able to open their bank account and to look what's happening there. So
Is that shame? Is that guilt? Is that fear? What do you think that is?
yeah, it's a lot of negative emotions. It's fear, guilt, shame, because most people aren't good with numbers. Most people, and for some reason we feel bad about it. If I am not good about the cars, I don't feel bad about it because I'm just not good at it. And if I want to learn it, I would, but in this case I wouldn't. But then I don't feel bad if I can't sing, for example. You don't want to hear me singing, so but I don't feel bad about it. Some people are good singers, so I'm not ashamed because I understand we are all different. But if I wanted to and I heard it's possible, you can learn sing. You can, because before I thought it's impossible, but now I know, someone told me that it is possible if you really like want to master it. So the same with numbers. Why most people are ashamed about it? I think it's because this is a very intimate topic. It's like sex and money. I think they are very like go on the same level, and people just feel bad about it. Like if someone is not good at sex, they are not likely to talk about it or feel good about talking to someone about it. So the same is with money. But then we just have to understand that we need money every single day. Why not to learn? Why not to dig deeper?
So, do you have maybe an example of a client? Of course, you have to maintain confidentiality, I understand, but is there some story that maybe you could share with us of a transformation that you've seen through this work?
last year, about this time, I started a challenge, balance your money, with maybe 8 women in the group, and it was very simple. I think at the start, I asked them to set a goal before we started, and I was very surprised that none of them did. I asked them to do a vision for 10 years. None of them did. In our third session, after we've done a few exercises, values, and other talks, I realized that they didn't dare to do a vision because they just didn't believe in themselves at all. So only a few sessions working in a closed group with women where we openly talk, and then all of them knew my story. They knew it's possible. They shifted and they realized, actually, and all of them were over 40s, so in their 40s, it was a huge shift. I can actually dream. I can still have a vision. This is something possible. I also had a client, just one session. She lost her way about earning money. She did experience burnout once, and then she wasn't sure why would she want to now have money? Like, why would she want to go out there and just earn and just do all the work? So we did a very short and simple exercise. And after maybe 40 minutes, she was like, wow, Lina, I want to go back to the game. I want to be doing all those things and I want to be earning money. Just one simple exercise, a shift.
Well, it sounds like you gave her the hope that she could do it without burning out again.
That, and then that exercise was very simple. You can do it too, but I also noticed that some people have to just have a little bit more guidance, because all the time most of people are stuck. And it's a simple question you can ask yourself: what can you do? Name 100 things as benefit. What will you do? What would happen in your life when you have a lot of money? So, like, what opportunities it would open for you? And when people start like with very simple things like, okay, I would buy a house, I would buy a car, I would go on holiday, but then tell me 100. That's a lot, right? So, and when you start, okay, I'll feel very safe. I'll be very confident. I can help others. Oh, I can start investing. Oh, I can help my mom to do that. Oh, I can. And then it starts opening up. And then now I feel the shivering going through my body. So that's true. So that simple exercise opens up a lot, and you realize how much you can do. You can actually give to others as well, because one of the main things I think money gives or does to us is, first of all, creates safety, and then provides us with an opportunity to help others.
That's such a powerful exercise. So just thinking through, all right, once you have that money, what's possible? Because for most people, it's just going to be the basics like, oh, I'll pay my rent and then I'll do this or I'll go on this vacation or whatever. And you don't even realize that there's so much more that you're just afraid to be dreaming about.
Yes, but and then when you think about like what could you do, and like you sit and think, oh, I can do, then you really want to do all those things. You really want to earn the money because you can see how much value you can give to the world. How many opportunities are there to do good things. So yes, because again, in many cases, I think money is associated with some negativity as well.
What happens if someone comes to you for the first time? Because as we've talked about, money is like a sensitive topic. People are afraid, and most people don't want to admit that they really don't know or that they have no idea what they're supposed to do. So when someone comes to you and they say, okay, I really need to shift something in like my finances, what does a session look like, or what does a package look like working with you?
Okay, so I think one session wouldn't be enough if you want to experience a shift in money mindset. If it's a business owner, then obviously business owners come to me saying, look, I want to earn more money. I want to learn to manage my money. So I have prepare for tax and everything. So we start with numbers. We'll look at numbers, we'll look at values. And then obviously in between we have the talks, we have deeper conversations, and this is where all the magic happens. Now if someone just came to me and said, look, I don't have the money, but I really want to have it, and I don't even have a business, obviously we would start exploring the beliefs first. What this person believes about the money. How does this person sees rich people. That's very, very important. When
Mm.
you see a rich person, what do you think? You know, how do you
Mm.
relate to wealth? Because again, there are so many things, and there is also a generational trauma as well, which can be nothing to do with you, and not even with your parents, but with your grandparents as well. So there are so many tools, but yes, if someone just came to say, "Look, I really need help," uh, I would start asking beliefs. What does he think? And in many cases, money beliefs are very negative. And when you start writing this, so for example, I would ask you to just write, "Money gives me," or "Money is the source of," or "Rich people are,"
Mm.
or "If I earn good money, then I will." And I'll just ask you to finish your sentences, and they don't end very well, these sentences, to be honest with you.
So would you say like someone, because people are listening, I know they're going to do this. They're going to be like, okay, hold on. So let's just say those sentence stems you just gave. Should they write out 100? Should they write out 20? What would be enough to really start to get a feeling?
So I said 100, but reality, the original exercise is 200. And it's very, very hard to do 200. But once you do it, I've done it myself not once, and it's very energetic. It's like you will see, try it yourself, and then let's say you want to write "I will buy a house," so you don't write "I will buy a house," you just write IWH. So it's faster, Like I would buy my mom, I don't know, a flat. So first letters of each word, so it makes it faster because 200 it's a lot, and then do it over 2-3 days, like
Mm.
so activate your neurons, so activate them. Why would you want to earn this money? And people very surprised after we do. It's very simple, but like I say, sometimes you need a little bit of guidance because people are stuck. We write 10 and we are stuck.
Okay, everyone who's listening, we're going to put this like in the show notes, or I'm going to ask Lina to write this down and share it after you listen to the podcast, because you're going to be able to do these exercises at home just to get started, to start to see where those blocks might be. And then, of course, Lina is working as a money mindset and finance coach. So you're going to have all of her information in the show notes as well that you can get in touch. But I'd love to hear from you, Lina. Like, what are you most excited about in the future of what you're creating, of how you're helping people?
Okay, thank you for this question because I do think about it now and again, just to remind myself, like, what is my purpose? Because what I haven't mentioned before during our conversation is that at the age of 40, I sold my accountancy practice and I semi-retired. So I allow the money to heal me by having the freedom and having time to actually do things that I really enjoy. So after selling my accountancy practice, I can work less, or if I can choose not to work, but that's not the way. I will be working until, like, I will be working forever because, again, as a species, as human, we want to be useful. We want to be like, we want people to need us. And that's one of our driving force. And I keep asking this question myself a lot because sometimes I spend, so I'm not going to lie, 6 hours a day doing something. And I'm thinking like, why are you bothered? You can just go for a walk, you're not employed by anyone. So my mission and what really makes me happy is to see these transformations, to see the shift in people. Because being an accountant, because I am still qualified accountant, it's much easier to make money as an accountant. People would be queuing up for my services because there is a shortage of good accountants. When it comes to coaching, it's harder to sell my service. So I keep asking myself, like, what is lightening me up? The transformation, helping someone to see a different perspective, help someone to manage their money and to gain the freedom, to have the safety. This is what drives me.
That is so perfect. So you're still going to be seeing people as a coach. I understand. And do you also have group programs? I know you mentioned you did a group last year. Is that still ongoing?
So I launch the program when I feel like it, when I decide like I want to do. I advertise, so whether it's LinkedIn or my email list, but it's not something I do regular, and I have a schedule for it. I just when I feel like it.
Okay. So people can go onto your website and find out when that's launching?
No, people should be subscribing to my newsletter so they get all the information, because I understand if not many want to be on social media every day. But yes, whenever I launch, I would be advertising in my newsletter.
Okay, so we're going to link to that in the show notes so people know where they can sign up and get this wisdom. And anyone who's on LinkedIn, I highly recommend following Lina because, like, I don't know that you're going to be posting every day forever. I'm not committing you to that. But when she posts, it's like a mic drop moment. You're really reading it like, so, or I'm just your target audience because every time I read it, I'm like, yep, this sounds true.
Thank you, Amanda, for this. It's really encouraging, and thank you for this. So I know I reach right people, and I think it resonates with many. If one says what you said, I think.
Well, it's definitely, I really, it is really healing work. I mean, I know for myself throughout, because I started my business in 2018 and I started with, I always like joke, maybe I need to change my story, but I'm like, I started with a whole lot of naivete. And I'm so glad I did because I might have never gotten started. But I ran out of money in like the first like 3 months of starting my business. And then I was like, oh shit. And I had to really think about like, what does this mean? How is this going to work? Because I hadn't done it before. I was just so hopeful and so desperate to get out of like my corporate job that I had no other choice. But it's not that it was like well planned and well thought out. And the next few years were really like trial and error and hiring people and trying to get as much information and knowledge as I could to make it work. So the fact that I'm here 7 years later is a testament to naivete can work sometimes, and then thoughtful planning and getting help along the way.
Yes, and Amanda, I think being naive really helps because, like I shared once, I would never have started a coach career if I knew what it would take me to become one. Like I said, it's easier to be an accountant. So to be naive is very, very useful thing because, and you just go all in and then you learn as you go along. But ignorance, this is what is not acceptable. It's if you are ignoring certain things, if you don't know, that's okay. And you being naive when you start it, it just helps you to actually start something.
So, do you have any advice for someone who's listening and they're just starting out on this journey and they're thinking they want to, really start taking their money seriously or to change something? What advice would you give them?
So the only advice for whoever is starting their business is start with their numbers. So don't ignore your numbers. So whether it's a spreadsheet or you're gonna get an accounting software, but just start with a spreadsheet. Start tracking every single expense. And when I say every single expense, that means everything you spend for your business. So you buy stationery or whatever you invest, just keep tracking it so you can see. And when money starts coming in again, you keep track. It's so simple, but it's very, very powerful because sometimes business owners come to me after 2 years in business, and when we fill their table with expenses, I go like, but then you surely have this and that, like as an expense. And we go like, oh, it's an expense. So if the business owner doesn't know their expenses, how they can calculate their pricing, how can they estimate like what to charge, and especially with services, if it's hard for you to understand why you should be charging 100, 150, or 200 per hour because you may feel like it's not worth it, think about all the effort you put in your marketing, in your advertising, and other things, which takes probably 6, 7 hours of your day. And when you spend 1 hour with a client, so that 1 hour has to pay for everything that you've done for marketing. So that's why looking at numbers not only explains to you, to your logical mind, but you can clearly see what you need to do. So start logging your numbers, expenses, and your income on monthly basis.
Ooh, that's good. All right, you heard it here first, people. No. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share? We're nearing the end of the conversation. Any last bit that you think would be important to mention here?
Yeah, probably one sentence I heard recently, and it really stood out to me. It's your self-worth is not determined by your bank balance, but your bank balance shows your self-worth.
Thank you for that nugget to close off this conversation. It's been super inspiring and very educational, let me put it that way. So I'm looking forward to hear what all of you listening at home have to say and what you've learned just by listening to Lina's wisdom. So you'll be able to get in touch with her. All of her contact details are going to be in the show notes. And I'm just so happy that we've met and that I get to keep learning from you also, Lina. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
And to everyone who's listening, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. And I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Don't Step on the Bluebells. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give the podcast a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And don't forget to hit subscribe and follow along so you never miss a new episode.